Hello everyone, Ron here from L.T.L Tutoring Central, and this week I'm talking about talk to yourself, you're not crazy. Well, maybe you are crazy, but talking to yourself does not make you crazy or does not mean you're crazy. You may have heard that you shouldn't talk to yourself, or you may have heard you definitely shouldn't answer yourself. It's okay to talk to yourself as long as you don't answer yourself. Well, I'm here to say talk to yourself and answer yourself, at least when you're trying to learn something or when you're trying to remember something. Talking to yourself is a great way to get new information into your memory and to retain it over time. It's also a great way to rehearse material. So things that you've already read about, maybe written something about, but you need to look over your notes and you need to remember it. But not only remember it, talking to yourself allows you to discuss the topic, which means you can add details, which means you can make more connections. Remember, we're always looking at networking and making more connections to our knowledge so that we can, we learn more, but we also remember more if we have that network in place. So talking to yourself and sometimes even answering yourself is a great way to learn and then to remember what you've learned for the future. If you are looking over your notes, for example, you can look them over, then set them aside, talk aloud to yourself. What did you just read? What do you think about that? What other connections can you make? What other kinds of information that you've learned in this course or perhaps in another course can you add to that piece of information that you're looking at now? You can ask yourself questions based on your notes, based on the text, or just based on your own knowledge that you already have, and see if you can answer those questions out loud to yourself. If you can do that, and if you can add some detail and a little bit of explanation, then you will be better prepared to answer questions on tests, on quizzes, and on the final exam, because you've sort of talked it out. You've worked it out in your mind. Sometimes simply looking at notes, looking at a text, looking at written material, and obviously you want to do that, that's very helpful, but then discussing it, talking through it, can enlighten you in a different way and in more ways. So that's something that I think is very important. I have, as far as I can remember, I've always talked to myself, but maybe I really am crazy. I don't know. But it's okay to talk to yourself, reason with yourself, give yourself some explanations. Now, you can do this with other people, but this is all about talking to yourself, because sometimes people forget that even if you're on your own, you can help teach yourself. Now, you can pretend that you're explaining it to somebody else. If there's no one else there, you can just imagine it. When I was in university, I used to talk to the wall. It wasn't in this space, so I can't show you, but I had my desk, and the wall was in front of my desk at that point, and I used to talk to the wall. Hey, wall, here's what I'm talking about today. Sounds a little bit odd, but nevertheless, the point is I was explaining it to myself, and I was clarifying points, I was remembering concepts, I was adding details to my explanations, so I would be more prepared when I had to give answers, whether orally or in written form. That's the other point. When you're talking aloud to yourself, so if you're let's say you're looking at your text or you're looking at your notes, and then I always pace. I stand up and walk and talk to myself. And if you're doing all of those things, so you're using different modalities, learning modalities. So you're using vision, you're using auditory, and oral as well. So, and physical if you're pacing like I do. So you're using a lot of modalities to get that information into your mind or to recall that information or to make those connections. So all of this can come from talking to yourself. So I think it's a great idea. Obviously you want to focus, you want to try to corral your ideas into a unified model and explain to yourself the best you can. That will prepare you for even for essays or assignments. You can also do this. You can talk it out. You know, what am I thinking? And sometimes just saying it out loud is very different than looking at a blank computer screen or a blank piece of paper or just thinking in your head where the ideas come and go, come and go. But sometimes speaking it seems to be more concrete. So I want you to try this idea if you haven't already, or increase it a little bit more. Talk to yourself. If you've learned something new, chat about it to yourself at night or in the morning or in the shower or whatever on a walk. I walk a lot and I talk to myself. Sometimes I catch myself talking out loud on the street. You do catch a few glances occasionally, but that's okay. But I might be preparing a blog, or I might be thinking of a speech I need to write or make, or I might be thinking of a new way of teaching a student. What can I do to help this student? He or she has a certain problem. So I talk it out to myself. So there are lots of ways and lots of reasons for talking to yourself, and there's nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. Now, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click on the notification bell, leave a comment, ask a question. Check out the website. I'll leave a link below. And keep in touch, because I like to hear how people are learning. Maybe you have some other ideas. Maybe you've used talking out loud to yourself as well. You can let me know how that's worked for you or hasn't worked for you, or if you've got some strange looks from people. But nevertheless, keep in touch, keep learning, and keep having fun. Don't forget to check out the blog. I'll put a link for that below as well. In the meantime, it's Ron Johnson from L.T.L Tutoring Central. Have fun and keep learning. Bye for now.